let y'all know. This was kind of a weird dream. So I would be remiss if I did not send a serious shout out to my wife for going along with my crazy ideas. I'm sitting there at home. I gotta do some more cardio, y'all. I'm sitting there a little jumping around. I was like, man, I thought you ran, boy. I'm at home, I'm decorating a tree. I go over to my father-in-law and I'm like, hey, what about if I put together a show? And they're like, you're crazy. I said, I know. But then we did it. And then people showed up. Yeah. And I just want you to know, baby, we couldn't do this if you didn't come out. So this means a lot to me. But I hope that you guys are taking something with you. Because that was the purpose of this. When I started thinking about what would I want to talk about, there was a lot of stuff. I just knew it had to be positive. And I knew I wanted it to be impactful. I knew I wanted it to be something that you could come to a show, watch some presentations, leave out, and maybe, possibly, change the way you do things or the way you see things. So I needed it to be meaningful. Man, what about my speakers tonight? Y'all can go ahead and clap for 5 seconds. Let me get your blood flowing in your arms for a second. I cannot thank them enough. They bought on, they said, let's do this. Let's do this. So whenever I started out with the show, I said to myself, man, who's going to come to the show? I have no idea. And about a month ago, the answer was 0. Because there was no tickets sold. So that's why I have to look at Ahmad and Sheila, Aisha, which is in the crowd tonight. Ahmad, I just want you to say, I want to let you know that there will be other shows. There will be many more tickets sold. But sir, you will always be my first. So thank you for that. Thank you. Ahmad looked at me at school and he says, so coach, how's the ticket sales? I said, well, let's see. So even with Common Core math, we're at a strong 0. And he's like, oh, I got you, dog. He pulled his phone out right there, started doing whatever it is he did, bought me a towel. I was like, man, that's what I'm talking about. Get the ball rolling. So anyways, welcome tonight. Leadership is something that is a very important thing to me personally. I feel like that people should at least see themselves as the capability of impacting other people's lives. The ability to influence other people. Because see, I don't know if you realize this, but everybody is watching somebody. And you don't know who's watching you. And I started realizing that as I got older. And some of the impacts that I was having on other folks. Friends, family, and in particular, those that I was in charge of, whether I was coaching or teaching. And I wanted to start thinking about, I need to do this very consciously. I need to be very intentional. I need to understand that the things I say and the things I do, others are going to pick up on. And maybe that will be something they will adopt. So I want to leave a legacy behind me that says something great. And so tonight I came here hoping that we could influence some of you. Because when I'm done here in just a few minutes, and I know everybody's probably getting hungry because it is a Saturday night and it is after 8 o'clock probably or somewhere close to it. I'm not going to speak too long, but I want to leave you with something that is powerful, something that is meaningful, because it means a lot to me. So I could have used a lot of platforms, but I use coaching. I know there are people in this audience, I don't know where Robert Carter is. This light is so bright. Can I get a what from a Robert Carter? What? There he is. I've been able to be fortunate enough to coach with Robert for some time. And he and I share the same philosophies. And I've got to tell you something. It's impactful. It's meaningful. So tonight, my spin on leadership, my approach to leadership is from the perspective of coaching. But understand, all of these principles can be used in everything you do. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're stay-at-home or you're working at a business or you are just simply hanging out with friends. All of this plays. So accountability. That's the first thing I want you to understand. Culture is built off, and it's hard to wrap your head around sometimes, but culture is built off of accountability. If you are not accountable for your actions, how can you impact someone else? How can you make someone else feel like they should be accountable? Suddenly you set a culture forth that anybody can do anything they want and nothing is going to be said. So as a coach in particular, but then as a person, be accountable to yourself. That does require self-discipline. That requires being alert and being awake and being conscious to your actions. But be accountable. So what does that look like? Well, it takes a long time. It's a cool transition. What does accountability create? It creates trust. When a person realizes that you are going to be accountable to your actions and you are requiring something of someone else, they are going to be more apt to be accountable. Because if you're not accountable to your actions, why would they trust you? This right here can play in a lot of ways. You guys can plug in however you want to. Nothing will destroy a player faster than watching the coach tolerate and reward bad behavior. Now, if you are working somewhere and you see that, you can plug that in. If you are at the house and you see one kid acting bad and the other kid is acting bad and he gets rewarded, it's the same thing. Trust must be built off of accountability. Cool flip. I don't know how I did this stuff. Mac computers are amazing. Accountability, in order to be accountable, what do you need? You need clear expectations. It's not be good or be better or do this or do that. You have to have clear expectations. So in order to do that, you have to know what it is you are wanting from that person. And ultimately, they understand what it is that you want from that person. So when you set these expectations, I want you to know this. This is a tough one, by the way. This is a tough one, Trey Waring. This one's tough for me. I can barely see you through the light, but it's awesome. They must be realistic expectations. And number one, first and foremost, don't compare them to how you do things. Holy moly, did I just hit a nail with anybody on that one? You cannot compare them to you, and that's a hard thing to do. Because I'm a type A personality. Now, my boss, I think, is in the crowd, unless she's already decided this is my last performance ever. I don't know. But she would tell you that there are people that are really high performers in certain areas, okay? But you can't expect everybody to be like that person. Everybody is their own individual. So you want to try to pull the best out of each individual. And everybody has different talents. So their expectations have to be realistic, and they can't be compared to you. Let's see what the next transition is. Oh no. Cool, that's awesome. You must set goals. Okay, so you can't just say be accountable or just do this or just do that. You need a goal. If you don't have a goal to work toward, how do you even know? Look, I'm going to use me as an example. Okay, so for some of you that may know me or watch a few things, by the way, it's mostly friends and family in the house, which I very much appreciate you supporting this wild idea that I had. I am an overweight marathoner, okay? I am a plus size. I'm actually, when I sign up, they put me in the Clydesdale division. That is the actual name. And I don't know if you know how offensive that would seem to be, but except I look in the mirror, I'm like, yeah, they're probably right. That's probably the Clydesdale. We'll go with the Clydesdale. Look, you got to have a goal. My goal has to be managed off of what I can do. Okay? And so when you have somebody that you're trying to set goals for, understand what they're capable of. So whenever I go out and run a marathon, I am not hitting a 2-hour, 30-minute. That's never happening. No, that's where I'm at the halfway point. Those guys are already done. They're on a plane back to wherever they're coming from, and I'm still out there sweating. So you have to set goals, but they have to be managed with clear expectations. All right, let's see what this next one is. Oh, that's a good one. I like this. Encouragement versus criticize. Man, is it so easy sometimes for us to get caught up in a moment to where we think that we're actually improving someone's ability or we're coaching them to be better. But in reality, we're actually being demeaning. That's tough. As a teacher, and I have some students in the audience tonight, I do have a lighthearted approach to some of this. I do. So, I don't know if anybody would want to speak up, but I have 2 rules in my classroom. If there's anyone in here, what are my 2 rules? Go ahead and say it loud.
Don't suck and be on time.
Don't be late and don't suck. And if you're late, what did you do? You broke both rules right out the box. That leaves me nowhere to go. But you see, it's lighthearted. It gets the point across in an encouraging way. They understand that being timely matters. But I'm not doing it. Whenever I say don't suck, it's actually lighthearted, but they understand that the importance is to be on time. So that's what you kind of have to figure out. How can you encourage somebody and critique something, but not sound demeaning and criticize? I know as a baseball coach over the years, and more recently a softball coach, it can be easy sometimes to get caught up in the idea that I feel like I am teaching that player how to do something better. But I have to catch myself occasionally and I realize, man, the way that came across or the way you said that actually felt more like you were just being mean. And so you have to pull yourself back. We're all human, right? So that's the point of this whole thing about leadership. So I'm going to kind of tie this up when we get to the end. See, leadership is just a concept. It's an approach. It's an idea. Leaders are people. Leaders are individuals. And you have to adopt some of these philosophies. And you have to understand what you're doing. You can only do that if you're conscious with what you're doing. So encouragement versus criticize. Cool curtain effect. Mac Pro, y'all. All right. So how do you do that? You have to set up opportunity. So opportunity to be successful. Opportunity, set your players up for success. Set your people up for success. Set your kids up for success. But allow them to fail. What? What does that even mean? What do you mean allow them to fail? That sounds crazy. Where do we grow the most from, y'all? We grow from failures. We grow from setbacks. That's how you learn and that's how you grow. The only way that you're ever going to be better than you are today is if you challenge yourself and step outside of your comfort zone. The more we stay in our comfort zone, the more we become stagnant. So don't do that. Give yourself opportunity to fail. Give your players opportunities to fail, but set them up for success. That almost seems like a play on words, but it's true. You give them the tools. Tonight you guys came to the DeSoto Family Theater. Maybe the back of your mind, most of you were like, I've seen this guy on YouTube a couple times, he's kind of crazy. He was in my class. I just want to see what this looks like on the stage. Well, I don't know if I'm disappointed or I'm knocking it out of the park. Either way, I'm going to be me. And I'm going to tell you something. I put myself in a place for opportunity. That's it. I put myself in a place for opportunity. I might fail, but failure is temporary unless you choose to give up. So when you leave out of this place tonight, I want you to think about that. Put yourself in positions that are difficult. Allow you or others around you to be in a position to be successful, but they might fail. And if they fail, let them fail. You know, I'm going to just say something. If you have kids in this audience tonight, I'm sure you will relate. It's probably happened many times over where you have something that you're doing and your child's working on something or they're doing something where you put them on a task and they're taking forever or they're messing it up. So what do we do a lot of times as parents? We just step in and do it, right? We just step in and do it. Because it's just easier. It's tough to give them an opportunity to fail, and also it's tough to watch them fail. So let's see what the next thing looks like. Ooh, cool. I'll put this up here. I wanted to tell a quick story about this. So for those of you that are baseball fans, maybe you recognize the guy over here. That's Jack Morris. Pitcher for the Minnesota Twins, pitched for several other teams, was really successful, but this picture kind of resembles a moment. It actually was profound to me. Ironically, you can learn from everything and something can be life-changing and you didn't even realize it was being life-changing at the time, and you ain't got to be present. So you ain't got to be at the game. You could just be a byproduct of the moment. Jack Morris, for those of you that don't know, was pitching in the 1991 World Series. That was the Minnesota Twins and the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta Braves went through a nice run of about, 13, 14 years going to playoffs. I think they only won one, and then we had our boy Austin Riley show up and then win a World Series last year. I'm just saying, that's plug for Austin Riley if y'all don't know about the DeSoto County boy. But here's Jack Morris. He was pitching for the Twins. Now, I don't know if you understand baseball. There's 162 games in a season. And then you go to the playoffs, and you have to win 11 of those games to get to the finish line. This was Game 7 of the World Series. That is the end of all the games. There's no more games after that. This is the game. Game 7 of the World Series. Jack Morris had pitched all 9 innings. He had given up 0 runs. The score was tied at the end of 9 innings, 0-0. They were the home team, which meant they had to go back out in the 10th inning after 9 innings. Coach Tom Kelly walks over to him and says, "You're done. You pitched a great game. Good job." Jack Morris says, "I ain't coming out of this game, dog." I don't know if he said it like that, but that's how I would have said it. But he said he wasn't coming out. Tom Kelly tried to push back, tried to say, "No, you're coming out." He says, "I'm not coming out of this game." Tom Kelly thought about it for a minute. And he said, "You know what? It's just a game. Go get him." Jack Morris went out and pitched the 10th inning and didn't give up a run. In the bottom of the 10th, the Twins won. That gave him a chance to be successful. At what cost? Maybe the whole World Series? But still, that player wanted that opportunity. And that coach gave it to him. So many years later, and That's where this picture comes into play here. I don't know that kid. I just thought it was a cool picture. But it did remind me of the story I want to tell you real fast. I was a coach for an adult baseball league in North Carolina. And I was a player coach, and it was mostly college kids. But we had some players that kind of had thought they had wanted to play, but really didn't play much, and then they come into the league, and we needed some players. So I put this one kid on the team. He was not what we call athletic, but he loved baseball. Well, as the coach and as the player, he's playing. Season goes on. We get to the end of the season. We're in the final tournament. We win this game. We go to the last game, which is just a one-game playoff at the end of the season to give you the idea to set the whole situation up. We were in the last inning. We were a home team. I was coaching third, even though I played, I was a coach player. So I'm coaching third. And we ended up with runners on second and third and 1 out. So we were down by 1 run. We're down by 1 run. We have second and third, 1 out. And my special player comes up to the plate. Well, the assistant coach runs over to me and he says, Camp, get him to bunt or something, or step into a pitch and let it hit him. And I said, all right, I'll go tell him to bunt. I'll tell him to bunt. So he goes to get up to the plate, and I was like, hey, come here. I can't remember his name. This is a long time ago. I just remember this moment. I said, come here. Let me talk to you. He comes running over to me. And as I started to tell him, hey, look, lean up there and bunt, or let the ball hit you. Whatever comes first. He looks at me, and he says, I'm ready, coach. I looked at him, and I was the best actor you could ever see. I said, all right, drop the ball at the middle, let's win the ball game. I would not tell you that just for dramatic effect. It is true as I'm standing here in front of you. That dude went up there, and I don't know how many pitches it was, but the next thing I see is the ball going straight up the middle, and the guy coming around second to score. And I'm just like in a movie. I'm like, what? And he's going, oh, he did it. He hadn't got a hit all year. Just go in slow motion whenever these things happen. I don't know if y'all do that. Because it's slow motion with some action music playing in the background. It's pretty cool. He scores, and of course, we have the moment where we run out on the field and we mob him, and we're going to try to pick him up. But he was a girthy fella, so we really didn't get that far with that. We just kind of picked him, and we're like, way to go, man. And then we just walked him off. But the point is, I gave him the opportunity. In that moment, when he walked up to me, guess whose voice was in my head? Tom Kelly. Crazy. He said, it's just a ball game. Let him have a shot. And I did. That guy probably tells that story to this day. I hope he does, because I'm telling it right now tonight in my first show. So let's see what we got left. All right. Opportunity. You never know what star is waiting to emerge. And look, I can speak right now. I think I saw Darwin out there somewhere. It's hard to see with these lights. And I know Coach Carter's out there. Got Bubba Highlander over here on the right, one of my big boys from back in the day. We play a lot of baseball. You never know who's waiting in the wings to emerge. You just don't know. I want you guys to take this with you and really look, cheerleaders in the back, think about this. There might be somebody that doesn't have all the tools, right? They don't have all the tools. Maybe they're playing baseball, maybe they're cheer, I don't know. They don't have all the tools everybody else has. But all they need is one person to have confidence in them. All they need is one kind word. All they need is one person to say, yes, you can. And then all of a sudden, you've changed the course of that person's life forever. That's not overstating. That's not embellishing. That's reality. It only takes one time to change the course of a person forever. Just believing in somebody. You don't know what stars are waiting to emerge. I could sit here and give you a long list right now of players in particular, more sooner than later, softball players, that they were on the cusp of being pretty good, but not so much. And then a couple coaches start believing in them, working with them. They're making high school softball teams. They're making all-star teams. They're playing competitive ball. And I look at that and I'm like, I was this big of a piece in their life, but that means everything. You guys can have that same approach. All right, moving forward. Love them. This is a key point for everything. If you love somebody, they're going to reciprocate that. It says players willingly give everything they have when they know the coaches care and believe in them. Guess where I can also use this? Classroom. When I teach, for any of my students out there, little lets you know, I love them. I tell them I love them. I love my ball players. I tell them I love them. It's important to let people know you care, that it comes from right here. So this is all part of leadership. Every single thing you're hearing me say tonight is what it takes to be a leader. And everybody in this audience can be a leader. That's why I put this show on today, is because I knew that if I could just talk to a few folks and I could share some of these moments, that maybe, just maybe, you would understand how much of an impact you as an individual in this crowd right now tonight can actually have with somebody else. So let's look at the next thing. So what does that look like? Well, in order to show them that you love them, you have to listen to them. That means you can't talk at them. You have to talk to them. That is so important. So listen to what they have to say. Try to be understanding. You have to relate to them. You have to remember what it was like. I mean, whether you're a student, if you're teaching students, whether you have a ball team, whether you have a family. Just remember what it was like when you were a kid. Just remember what it was like when you were the employee. Just remember what it was like when you were the ball player. If you relate to them, they're going to see that not only do you show that you love them, but you're starting to understand them. That is deep. That is prophetic. That is, I don't even know if that's a real word, but that is amazing. It is amazing. Show them that you can relate to them. The third ingredient I put in there was you got to be patient. And I'm not going to lie to you. I struggle on all three of these at one given point or another. I'm not perfect. I'm not standing up here telling you that I do all this stuff all the time. In fact, I'm guilty of all this stuff. That's why I'm sharing it with you, because it takes that conscious moment that I was talking about earlier in the show, that you have to be aware of your actions. Being patient with them is difficult, because you know what that takes? Patience. It's actually typing. So you got to be patient with them. Listen to them, relate to them, and be patient with them. And when you do, sometimes, and you don't do it for this moment, but when it happens, it feels so good. You have a player recognize that. I found this in a box. It told me I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It says, Coach Camp, thank you for all you've done for me over the years. You had a great impact on my life. And I know I wouldn't be who I am today without your guidance. Some of my best memories were playing for you. Thank you for that and everything else. Dave, I got news for you guys. You can be amazing. I'm not up here telling you I'm amazing. I'm up here telling you we can be amazing. There's a reason why I named my company Motivate with Coach Camp. Not that Coach Camp can motivate you. Motivate with Coach Camp. I want to bring people in. I want people to understand that the world is full of negativity, but we don't have to be a part of it. We can be a part of the things that are right, we can be positive, and we can have an impact in other people's lives. I would have never known. I mean, I have ideas, but I would have never known. You too can have the same thing. One last nugget. Yankees aren't playing so well, so it was interesting I picked this side. You got Derek Jeter over here, superstar. But anybody over here know who this guy is on the other side? Anybody? Nobody. Yeah. Nick Swisher. So just to give you some contrast, Derek Jeter is the consummate leader of anything. He does everything right. He is a hard worker. He is a mentor. He is all these things that you look for in a solid leader. Nick Swisher is a jovial fellow. He's happy. He jokes around, but he plays hard. He's nonetheless the player as far as what he wants to be, but he was just a really happy-go-lucky guy. So what do we call that? What do we call that when a person's like very outgoing? They have a lot of what? Charisma. A lot of charisma. So that's why I picked this one. Pick a team captain and pick a co-captain. And this goes for everything you do. Whether you're in a classroom, whether you have a ball team, whether you're at a business, doesn't matter. Pick a captain and a co-captain. Because many times, they need each other to stay centered. And you have to judge against talent versus charisma. So ideally, the best player on the team is also the most charismatic. Because I don't know if you realize this or not, a charismatic person, people will follow. They will. Charisma just resonates. People like that. So you want the player that has a lot of charisma. But you also need a player that does things right. And if you can get both in the same person, bingo. But think about that when you go forward. Whether you're coaching, whether you're teaching, whether you're running a business, doesn't matter what it is. Think about what it means to have two people that can play off each other, to work together, to have the biggest impact. Charisma and talent, those things go well together. All right, so here we are. We're almost at that moment. So I want to tie some of this stuff together for you guys. I want you to think about everything you just heard tonight. Tonight you heard someone speak about, first person was the psychology of leadership. The other one, they touched on, I would say, how you talk to people, communicate with people. That's probably the best way to sum that one up. And then Hunter, of course, brought to you the centric, how you make the person the most important person in the room. For me, the way I want you to see my leadership model is I want you to understand the impact that you have. Leadership is an idea. Leadership is a concept. Leaders are the ones that make the difference. It's your approach, it's your thoughts, it's your actions. Each individual. Strike it up. So right now, I'm going to end this show making everybody in here understand what it means to be a leader. Everybody in here right now is about to feel what that feels like when you unify as one voice, that you do not have to take negativity and put it in your back pocket and take it everywhere else with you. You, absolutely everybody in here can make a difference. So whenever I say, who can be a leader, I want everybody in here to say, I can. Who can be a leader? I can. Who can be a leader? I can. Who can be a leader? I can. Yes, you can. Take it with you. Do not take this for granted. This is the moment. The hours are dying off. The sands and the hourglass are disappearing. This is your moment. Take your shot. Be great. Be great. Be great. I'm Coach Cam. I'm good, baby. Hey, man. Special thanks. John, Nicky, Hunter, Jim.
Come on
my
out.
family, my
Come on
friends,
out, guys. Come on.
my lovely wife. Each and every one of you. You guys come on out here real quick. Come on up from the audience. Thank y'all for coming out. This is the first show, but this is not going to be my last show. If you like anything about this, tell people. Come out here, be a part of this. Let's work together. Good job, guys. Come on out. Thank y'all so much. Be careful leaving. Stick around, say hi to me. I love you guys.
Guys, be safe going home, huh?